presenting Cary Grant and Betsy Drake as Mr. and Mrs. Blandings in a new series based on the Eric Hodgkins best-selling novel, Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House, and Blandings Way. Mr. and Mrs. Blandings, starring Cary Grant and Betsy Drake. For some strange reason, wives make a fetish of anniversaries, all sorts of anniversaries. The first date, the first kiss, even the first quarrel. But husbands are apt to forget these vital statistics. Upon such occasions, the wife cries out,
"Elephants can remember. Why can't you?"
To which the husband replies,
"I'm not an elephant."
But this sort of rejoinder, though dignified, is scarcely a defense.
"I'm a mouse."
And so it behooves husband Jim Blandings, for example, to remember any and all anniversaries. That's why we find him now trying to prove that he hasn't forgotten what Muriel is trying to remind him of.
Well, don't be ridiculous, Muriel. How can I ever forget that?
But we haven't even discussed what that is.
Oh, well, I beg your pardon. Let's go back to the beginning of this conversation. Well, you go back.
Oh, you go first.
No, you go.
Age before beauty.
Youth before distinguished.
You win. I started the conversation by saying, "But you won't be home for dinner tomorrow night."
Go on.
And you looked very fuddled. And I said, "Don't you remember what happens in May?" And then you said, "Of course." And I said, "What?" And that's when you got angry and said, "Don't be ridiculous, Muriel," and so forth.
All right.
All right, you remember. Let's say no more about it.
Good idea.
But I'll tell you if you've forgotten.
Muriel, I have not forgotten. Muriel, where's my toothbrush?
It's there, dear.
No, my toothbrush is orange. There is no orange toothbrush here.
Well, that's right. I bought you a new green one.
Huh. And didn't consult me. Let me see. What is happening tomorrow night? Why can't I think of it?
Talking to yourself, dear?
No. I'm talking to that man in the mirror. Oh, I've got it. I knew I would remember. Good old me never forgets.
What?
Oh, go back to sleep, Muriel.
Oh, weren't you just talking just then? Who were you talking to?
You were talking in your sleep, dear, and I just answered.
Really? Oh, well, thank you. Go back to sleep, Jim.
Go back to sleep, Muriel. Now, Maud, when Mrs. Blandings mentions our anniversary to you, for goodness sake, don't tell her that you know I remember what she thinks I don't remember. Because if you do, you see, that won't be good because I don't want her to think that I know.
Would you mind repeating that, please?
Maud, I'm in a hurry. Now, when Mrs. Blandings mentions our anniversary, she thinks I've forgotten it. We are celebrating it tonight.
Oh, really? That's the second time this year. You like the idea of champagne?
Now, Maud, this is not our wedding anniversary. This is the anniversary of the night that I proposed to Mrs. Blandings. Now, remember, I haven't said a word, understand? Goodbye.
No, I don't understand, Mr. Blandings.
Oh, Jim? Oh, Jim.
Oh, you missed him. He thought you might want to sleep late.
Oh, dear. I wanted to remind him about tonight.
I believe he knows.
He does? I had a feeling that he didn't.
Eggs poached or scrambled this morning, Mrs. Blanding?
Soft-boiled.
Toast or muffins?
Rye crisp.
Coffee, or coffee?
I beg your pardon, Maud.
Nothing. I just don't want to be a 3-time loser.
Oh, Maud, plan a simple dinner tonight. Mr. Blandings won't be home.
Simple dinner for the children, you mean?
Well, for me, too.
You'll be here? Very strange.
Oh, yes.
Well, that is very strange. If you'll forgive my saying so.
Well, really, I never go to the dentist with Mr. Blandings.
The dentist.
Why, yes. Every 6 months, he has a standing appointment to go to the dentist after work to have his teeth cleaned. And he stays in town and has dinner afterwards.
Both you and Mr. Blandings are trying to pull my leg. If this keeps up, one of them will be 3 feet longer than the other.
Margaret, I want that letter to go airmail. Now take a note.
Oh, yes, Mr. Blandings.
After you reserve a table at Mama Macaroni's Italian restaurant, then call Ann Higgins' flower shop and order, a bouquet of tiny roses. Charming thought.
Macaroni's, bouquet. All right, after that, shall I call Mrs. Blandings and check with her about meeting you?
I don't think that will be necessary.
Oh, but she might have forgotten.
She reminded me of it only last night. See, we met at Mama Macaroni's restaurant, and for this anniversary, every year since I proposed, I'll never forget it.
Oh, how romantic. I'll bet you were excited.
I must have been. I slipped the ring on the breadstick.
Well, then, of course Mrs. Blandings will be there.
Of course, she won't forget.
Mrs. Blandings,
Yes, Maud, what is it?
I thought you might want me to press a dress or something.
Why, no thank you, Maud.
Help you to prepare to go into New York to meet Mr. Blandings.
But I'm not going into New York, Maud.
Still pulling my leg, huh? I'm going to need one very long garter.
Margaret, what time is it?
Getting late, Mr. Blandings, almost 6.
Oh, it's such a nice evening. I just have time to walk to the restaurant. Before I leave, help me think of a poem to go with the bouquet.
Oh, I'm very bad at that sort of thing. No talent.
Oh, Margaret, but you have very keen critical judgment. Now, tell me what you think of this. You're a mother, pal, and sweetheart, all rolled into one. Put them all together and dum.
You must weigh a ton.
No, no, Margaret. Never mind. I'll think of something. But the flowers will be at the restaurant, won't they?
Yes, a messenger will bring them over. Have a nice time, Mr. Blandings.
Thank you, Margaret. Good night.
Operator, may I have New York, please? Circle 45283.
Geider, bleeten, bloth.
Mr. Blandings' office, please.
This is Mr. Blandings' office.
Oh, Margaret, this is Mrs. Blandings.
Oh, hello, Mrs. Blandings. I was just about to leave the office. Lucky you caught me in time.
Well, I just called to check about Mr. Blandings' appointment. I had a hunch you wouldn't remember.
Oh, he didn't forget. He left to walk over there 20 minutes ago.
Oh, good.
Oh, Mrs. Blandings, Dr. Watson, Mr. Blandings' dentist, called to verify an appointment with Mr. Blandings for tonight. Would you know anything about that? I told him there must be some mistake.
You mean to say he isn't going to the dentist?
Well, no. He's meeting you at Mama Macaroni's restaurant to celebrate your anniversary.
But that isn't until next week. Oh, whatever will I do?
Oh, don't worry, Mrs. Blandings. I'll call the restaurant and leave a message. They'll ask him to call you.
Oh, thank you, Margaret.
Goodbye, Mrs. Blandings. I'm sorry about the mix-up.
Oh, that's all right. Goodbye, Margaret.
All right. I am gonna answer. Hello, Mama Macaroni's Italian restaurant. Papa Macaroni speaking.
Hello, I'm calling for Mr. James Blandings.
Oh, yes, sir.
I made a reservation for Mr. and Mrs. Blandings earlier in the day.
Oh, yes, sir.
They're going to celebrate an anniversary at your restaurant.
Yes. I'm all ready. I got a beautiful wedding pizza. And on top, I love you is spelled out in spaghetti. Marriage. That's such a beautiful thing. Are you Mrs. Blandings?
No, I'm not. Now listen, Mrs. Blandings will not be there.
You're not the Mrs. Blandings? Then who are you? Please. You got such a pretty voice.
Would you please ask Mr. Blandings when he arrives to call Mrs. Blandings at home?
Ooh, you got such a pretty voice. Who are you?
Have you got that message?
Yes, I got the message. But who should I say give it to me?
Never mind. Be sure to tell Mr. Blandings to call his home.
That's a pretty, pretty voice.
Goodbye.
Won't you tell me? Oh.
Who you talking to, Papa?
Business, son, Mama.
Yes, I hear a very pretty business.
Mama, please don't hit me.
I hear. Do you know I hear you?
Please, Mama, I gotta give a message to Mama, put down the coffee pot.
I put it down the coffee pot right on your head.
But I got to give a message to...
Hey, here comes the ambulance now.
Poor Papa, poor Papa.
Why, Mama Macaroni, what has happened?
Poor Papa, poor Papa.
Mama, I'm Jim Blandings, Mama Macaroni. You remember me? What happened? Can I do anything to help?
Who are you?
Jim Blandings.
Out of the way, sir. I have to get the stretcher to the door.
Oh, I cannot no look. I cannot no look.
Well, what happened?
I hit a Papa with a little coffee pot.
Any coffee in it?
Oh, 4 cups. Honest, mister, I don't know it was loaded, but it serves him right for talking that way to a pretty girl. I warned him. Who are you?
I told you I'm Jim Blandings. I'm here to have dinner with my wife. She'll be here any minute.
All right. But until she come, you no make eyes at a pretty girl, or I give it to you with my coffee pot.
All right. But if the worst comes to worst, Mama, remember one thing.
What's that?
I just take one lump.
From our Armed Forces Frontier Outpost in the Aleutians to the garrison at Panama Canal, from Korea to the training camps at home. Yes, in many parts of the world today, you will find the vigilant men of our armed forces. Daily, these men are protecting the heritages that each of us treasures so dearly. And during National Defense Week, the nation honors all branches of the service for the magnificent job they are doing. They are showing the rest of the world how strongly we believe in all of our freedoms, the freedom to worship as we choose, to speak our own minds, and to enter a job of our own choice. These men are also adding a greater glory, a greater dignity to such documents as the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution of the United States, and the Bill of Rights. It is only right as we, the nation, should honor the men whose job it is to defend these American heritages, and as members of the armed forces return to their homes from posts over the seas and within the continental United States, TWA, Trans World Airlines, feels that it has a special privilege and duty to extend to these men the same respect, honor, and courtesy which they so courageously defend for us. Because of the special kinship between men and women with wings, TWA today salutes the airmen of the Air Forces, the Navy, the Army, the Marine Corps, and the Coast Guard, who stand watch for us wherever and whenever duty calls. And now the second act of Mr. and Mrs. Blandings, starring Cary Grant and Betsy Drake. Poor, sensitive Jim Blandings. He tried so hard not to forget that he remembered an anniversary a week in advance. Poor Papa Mark Macaroni, who was to have told him to call Muriel, has been brained with a coffee pot. And so Muriel is waiting in vain for the telephone call from Jim. And Jim, in Mama Macaroni's restaurant, is waiting in vain for Muriel.
Good evening, Mr. Blandings. You expect Mrs. Blandings?
Yes, she should be here quite soon.
That's nice. You like a for order now, senor?
No, I'll wait for my wife. She'll be here any second. Then...
Look, are you sure you don't like to order something?
No, thank you. Mrs. Blanding should be here any minute now.
You change your mind, senor, about you make order. A drink?
How long have I been here?
Just about an hour, senor.
Bring me a Dubonnet.
You like for to order your dinner, senor?
I beg your pardon?
I say you like for to order your dinner.
No, but bring me some change, please. If I may use your telephone, I'll call my house and find out what happened.
Okay.
Well, look who's here. Peekaboo.
What? What? Take your hands away from my eyes. Who's there?
Guess.
Muriel, you borrowed Maud's perfume for shame.
Wrong guess. Try again.
Mama Macaroni?
Try again.
Mother!
Well, now, really.
Well, if you take your hands away from my eyes, then I can guess.
Hello there. Surprised to see me?
Well, yeah.
You don't remember me?
Yes, I do. You're, yeah, well, of course. How are you?
I'm Gladys Nightingale Trapp. Now, here tonight to discuss dropping the trap.
Gladys Nightingale, upon my word.
Uh-huh. Remember that Sunday school picnic before you went off to college? Oh, what a gay blade you were. And what a time we had. Oh, you haven't changed a bit, Charlie.
No, I'm Jim.
Oh, Jim, remember that rowboat drifting away from everyone?
No, that was Charlie.
Charlie, of course. How is he?
I haven't the faintest idea.
What are you doing here this evening?
I am celebrating an anniversary.
Oh, what a Quincy Quant. So am I. Second anniversary of trying to get an fair property settlement from my husband.
That is a Quincy Quant? Tell me, when was the first anniversary?
Last week. Mind if I join you until my lawyer arrives?
Well, I was just about to call my wife.
Oh, do it in a minute. She won't mind. Memory of old times.
Maud, I think it most peculiar that Mr. Blandings hasn't telephoned yet. He must have gotten the message almost 2 hours ago.
He was acting very strange before he left this morning.
Oh, don't be an idiot, Maud. He was simply talking about the anniversary that he thinks we are having, and you should have had the good sense to tell me about it.
But he told me not to tell you.
Do you realize that if you had told me, his teeth would be clean by now? Oh, well, I better telephone the restaurant and find out what happened.
Mama Macaroni's Italian restaurant. Mama Macaroni speaking.
Is Mr. Blandings there?
Who?
Mr. Jim Blandings. His secretary reserved a table for him and Mrs. Blandings. And I need to
Blandings, of course. Yes, he is here celebrating. Very sweet.
Well, then may I speak with him, please?
Oh, marriage is so beautiful. You should see them.
Them?
See. Mr. and Mrs. Blandings. He's being so nice to her.
He's with Mrs. Blandings?
Oh, see, she's a very pretty blonde-haired lady.
I am Mrs. Blandings.
But Mrs. Blandings is here.
No, she's not. She's here. She's me.
She's a you? She isn't a her? Ah, men are all alike. Shall I hit him for you? I got in the coffee pot right here. Or do you want me to speak to him first?
No, I do not want to speak to him. And don't hit him with that coffee pot. I want to do that myself.
You're not paying attention, Charlie.
But Gladys, I'm Jim. I'm not Charlie.
Funny. Are you sure you were on that Sunday school picnic?
No, I'm not.
Well, why did you say you were?
I didn't say so, you did.
Well, I don't think you were.
Well, then I don't think I was.
I know you, don't I?
Please, what did you say your husband's name was?
Lawrence Trapp. Did I say that?
No, you didn't. Well, I know Lawrence Trapp.
Did he introduce you to me?
Yes, I remember now. We met at the theater once.
You were certainly going out of your way to make me feel very silly. I thought you were Charlie.
I was not going out of my way to make you feel silly.
You certainly were.
I certainly were not. I was not. You thought I was Charlie. I didn't.
Oh, Mr. Blandings, you should be ashamed of yourself.
No, Mama, put down that coffee pot.
You men are all alike. I'm ashamed for you.
And so am I. Really, Charlie.
I told your wife, Mrs. Blandings, she was very angry when I talked to her on the telephone.
Oh, is she on the phone now? Excuse me, I'll answer it right now.
She hung up.
I'll call her back.
She'll hang up.
Excuse me.
I know like it is a business.
Operator, get me Langsdale, Connecticut, please. Langsdale 431, ring 2. Yes, I'll wait. Huh? Oh, how much? Oh, all right. Hello, Muriel? This is Jim. Muriel, don't hang up. She hung up.
What a bore for you. Let's go and have dinner.
Gladys, I don't want to discuss Charlie anymore.
Come on, be a sport. You used to be a sport.
Gladys, you are gravely mistaken. I never was a sport.
Hello, Mrs. Trapp.
Oh, hello, Mr. Twin. Jim, this is my lawyer.
Are you the co-respondent in this case?
Am I the what?
Mr. Twin, this is Mr. Blandings.
Oh, how do you do?
I haven't time to waste, Blandings. Let's get right down to business. Is it true you want to marry Mrs. Trapp?
Give me some change for this dollar, please. I've got to call my wife.
As counsel for your fiancée, I'll do no such thing.
She's not my fiancée. I don't even know her. Speak to Charlie.
How dare you drag poor innocent Charlie into this? Why, he suffers from sinus.
Are you Mr. James Blandings?
Yes, don't bother me.
Okay, here are the roses you ordered, lady.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Put them in water. We'll need them for evidence.
Wait just a minute. There's a card that goes with this. Thank you, darling, for 10 wonderful years. May it always go on like this.
I'll take that card, too.
That'll be $10, Mr. Blandings.
Will you be quiet? I'm trying to talk to my wife.
Your wife?
Wow, you lead an interesting life, don't you?
Oh, Mr. Blandings, this time I mean a business. I'm gonna hit you with the coffee pot, you brute.
Holy smokes, another one.
Now, Mama, don't hit me with that coffee pot. I warn you.
I wouldn't advise that.
Go ahead, the suspense is killing me. Hit him.
No, Mama.
This is what you deserve.
No, don't, Mama. Don't hit me. Oh.
There he is now.
Hello, Muriel. What are you doing up at 3 in the morning?
Jim, where were you? I was so worried about you.
You're speaking to me now.
Well, of course. Where were you?
Well, never tell the children I was in jail.
How dare you go to jail?
Oh, please. They wouldn't even let me use the telephone. You wouldn't have answered it anyway.
Oh, of course I would.
You want me to tell you what happened?
Yes. What happened?
Well, Mama Macaroni hit me with a coffee pot. Then a fight broke out. Then everyone was bundled into a patrol wagon. There wasn't a seat left. I had to stand all the way.
What a sordid story.
Yes, it is, and I'm too tired to go on with it. And where were you? What a fine anniversary.
Jim, the anniversary isn't until next week.
Well, then what were you trying to remind me of last night?
Your regular appointment to have your teeth cleaned.
Muriel, can't we do without this anniversary? I never want to see Mama Macaronis again.
Well, yes, we can do without it. But you better remember where we're supposed to dine alone together the week after next. And why?
Why what?
We're celebrating getting engaged.
What? I thought that's what we had been doing every year at Mama Macaroni's restaurant.
No, that's when you proposed.
Did you accept?
I accepted a week later at the Colony.
Why haven't I known about this?
Oh, I thought you did. Every year on June 3rd, we've dined at the Colony.
Well, I thought that was because we were celebrating your telling me about our going to have Susan.
No! That's not until next month.
I thought that next month we celebrate your telling me about our going to have Joan.
Oh, no. We celebrate the month after next.
Do we have anything to celebrate after that?
No. We start all over at the beginning.
Now, here again are Cary Grant and Betsy Drake.
Say, Muriel, tell me, are there any months that we don't have an anniversary?
No, none that Oh, yes. July.
Well, Muriel, you can't remember the big anniversary in July?
Why? Why, no, I can't think of
Well,
it.
that's when TWA celebrates its 22nd year of service across the country.
Oh.
Yes, imagine it once took 48 hours to fly from coast to coast. But this year, TWA Constellation can fly from Los Angeles to New York in only 9 hours and 40 minutes.
Oh.
Or from New York to London in less than half a day. So you can see what a big anniversary it is.
Well, then, you ought to do something nice for your friends at TWA.
What do you mean?
Well, invite them all over to see the floor show at Mama Macaroni's restaurant.
Now, there's no floor show there.
Well, there will be when Mama Macaroni hits you over the head with a coffee pot.
Oh, good night, Muriel.
Good night, Charlie.
Ah, yes. Celebrating one's wedding anniversary better be remembered by both parties, don't you think? After listening to this script, however, I'd be surprised if the Blandings were able to survive till the next one. Nevertheless, tonight's happy couple was played by Jay Summerfield as Jim Blandings and Donna Amesmeyer as his loving wife, Muriel. Their maid and housekeeper was Nell Brennan. Margaret, the ever-efficient secretary, was Judy Marsh, who also changed personalities later on and came back as that vamp, Gladys Trapp. I ask you, does anyone name little girls Gladys anymore? And if any of you have a taste for Italian food, as a lively Italian restaurant, just ask the two people, Papa and Mama Macaroni, to recommend one, Sue Gajinsky and Andre Dixon. Just duck before you hear the answer. Rounding out the cast were Mr. Twin, the lawyer, as played by Herb Thompson, and in a dual role of the waiter and the floral delivery man, Dave Sanchi. As always, our sound effects were projected by Tom Lenz, and music to set scene changes provided by Marianne Sedelet. This is your announcer, John Shefke, actually allowed to speak. And now a few parting words from our Assistant Director, Donna Amesmeyer.
Thanks. The Riverside Township radio players want to extend a big thank you to the Riverside Township Board, Rich Tusher, supervisor, and all the trustees. Their ongoing support makes it possible for us to continue bringing these wonderful shows from the golden age of radio to the community. So thank you very much. We also want to thank our ACE technical AV coordinator, John V. Gelsomino. And our webmaster, Andre Dixon, who posts the shows that John produces every month to our website, which is www.radioplayers.net. And if you're interested, we have some flyers on the side table. Please feel free to take one home, and you can enjoy some of our older shows on your very own computer. So we would love to see you all again next month, when our show will be on April 29th, right here, 7:30 p.m. And remember, that's the 5th Friday of the month. That's a little unusual for us. We usually play on the 4th, but it will be the 5th Friday. That's April 29th, due to the Easter holiday. And we will be visiting that evening with the great Gildersleeves in Springtime in Summerfield. And we're also going to be trying our darndest to solve some very puzzling 5-minute mystery episodes. So until then, please take care, travel safely, and thank you so much again for sharing your Friday evening with us. Thanks.